Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the 50-something podcast with me, Andy Barlow, age 56.
And me, Darran Medley, age 55.
And you know what, mate? I'm 57 next week.
Blimey. Well, I'm 56 in January, so...
I'll soon be going to be in the 60-something.
I know,
anyway.
Scary.
So what have you been up to?
I went to Portugal for a few days.
Oh, nice.
To have a business meeting.
With
a creative director from ex-Nike. Oh, cool. Hello, David.
Oh, David.
And Leslie, if you're listening.
Leslie's definitely listening.
Yes, about a potential new project. So I won't say anything yet because there's nothing to say yet. But
should you be saying this?
Yeah, I could say that bit. That's fine.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
keep going. Keep going.
That's fine.
We're on a roll.
So potential exciting new project for next year. So that was good. Lots of Christmas shopping being done, mainly online, I have to say, which has been very easy.
Interesting following the conversation with Tim in our last podcast.
Yes.
Closing stores, and that's happening a lot.
I spoke to Tim yesterday and he said they had their best Black Friday ever.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, it reminds me, we have a winner.
We do.
Of our podcast quiz.
Yes.
Darran, over to you.
So, yes, first of all, thank you for everybody for taking the time to enter.
Inundated,
absolutely the right word, Andy, inundated. And we do have a winner, so we picked the winner out of the hat.
So it's absolutely random, I absolutely swear.
Yes, and the winner is Mark. So, Mark, we will be in touch. We'll send you the details of how to claim the prize.
And the prize is?
And the prize is £399 of beautiful Oliver Sweeney gear.
To your choice, you choose it.
Absolutely. So you can choose footwear, jacket, jumpers, whatever you like, a combination of all that. And we look forward to seeing you in your attire once you've got it, and you can post back to our website and show us your style. So,
well, we don't have a website,
Mark.
But he can post back to our Instagram.
Back to our Instagram. So well done, Mark.
Well done, Mark, and thanks for taking part. We'll have more of these competitions as we go on.
Absolutely.
So anyway, sorry, I interrupted. What else have you been doing? Christmas shopping? Been to
Christmas
Portugal?
shopping. I've been to Portugal. I'm out tomorrow with my football friends for our Christmas do, kind of post the match with City and Palace tomorrow, so that should be good. I was in Manchester 2 weekends ago, and we did see the Chanel show being set up, which was quite exciting.
Cool.
I don't know if you saw that in the Northern Quarter. Right. Chanel do a catwalk show once a year.
Oh, I did see that.
City.
It was on Instagram, wasn't it?
Yes, it was
I
amazing.
Did see it. Yeah.
It was down Thomas Street.
Oh, so, brilliant. And they do that every year?
They do that every year in a different city.
Ah, so this year was Manchester.
So yeah, it was. So they closed it all off. All the bars and restaurants signed a non-disclosure, but everybody knew, of course, what was going on. And they did the show, and it was great. It's great for Manchester, great for the city.
Absolutely, that's brilliant. Manchester's really on the up, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was. I've been busy, mate. So how about you? What have you been up to?
Just on Manchester, I suppose one of my lasting memories of Christmas in Manchester was when they used to have the big blow-up Santa Claus on the top of the town hall. And one year, in the mid-90s, I think it was, when it was like, there was lots of drug gangs and all sorts of stuff going on. Somebody shot it.
Oh dear. A bit harsh.
They shot Santa. Yeah, it was Santa, not Snowman. And they shot Santa and he deflated on top of the town hall.
Well, they're renovating the town hall at the moment. So Santa's not there. Maybe that's a good thing at the moment. So.
Yeah, nothing to shoot.
So what have you been up to?
I did my first Christmas carols last weekend, which is something that happens every year in Macclesfield. I live in London, as you know, but my parents lived in. Well, long story. My mum lives in Macclesfield, but sadly my dad died around this time last year, and they always have the Christmas carols. My dad's always been he's always been sort of the centre of that, for many years, like 20 years, something like that. And because he died prior to the Christmas carols, they didn't do it last year. So this one was the first one. So I went up and sported my dad's Christmas jersey.
Good
as you can see, actually, I am wearing, along with you wearing your lovely red red one. I'm wearing my dad's green and white one on the thumbnail for this podcast. So. Yeah, so that was great. We had a really good time. Lots of out of tune singing. Fantastic Debbie on the piano all night, and then trying to sing the Pogues, Fairy Tale of New York without a piano because nobody had the music. Yes. And of course, when you're in several bottles of wine into it, and nobody cares, and it was just all good fun.
Good. So you had a few drinks as well.
Oh, yeah, and it was nice. It was nice catching up with people I've not seen for a while, and it was all lovely. But I've got another carol concert tonight. I'm not Mr. Sing-Along, I promise. It's just circumstance coming up to Christmas, I guess. But tonight I'm going to the not the Beverly Hillbillies, the Muswell Hillbillies.
Hillbillies.
The Hillbillies.
Do you remember that programme?
I do, yeah. Yes. Jed Clampett.
Yes.
But no, there's a little microbrewery in Muswell Hill where I live here in North London called the Muswell Hillbillies, and they make really, really awesome beer. And there's a tap room attached, and it's not open all the time. It's open certain hours of certain days, but they have an annual Christmas carols thing. It's just a load of people drinking beer and singing out of tune, but it will be fun, and it's with a group of friends that I haven't seen for quite a while, so it'll all be great fun.
Excellent, sounds good.
Yeah, so we are going to talk about music. We're thinking about how right, it is the holidays. So we've got Christmas, we've got, all the other religious festivals to celebrate the Feast of Midwinter. So happy holidays, everybody, whatever you're going to be doing.
Yes, happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. And we were thinking what might be nice for when you're cooking your turkey and you stirred...
Or other vegan or vegetarian options are available.
Yes. When you're stirring your nut roast, and nut allergies beware. There are other anyway, so we were thinking when you're making your festive food, then you might like something to listen to. Maybe it's us babbling on, but if not, you might want to listen to some music. So we've both. Independently and together, if you like, we have created a pair of playlists, and they are called the 50-something podcast decades mix part 1, which is mine, and
part 2, which is mine.
Yes, still called the 50-something podcast decades mix part 2, which is Darren's.
Correct.
And what has been really interesting to me, and nothing to you, is that we've chosen completely, I mean completely different music for our playlists. We're beginning in the 1960s, which is when we were both born. I was born in 66. I think you were
68.
68. And so we got a tune that means something to us, or kind of celebrates a memory, or it makes us think of something, or it sort of, there's some resonance to it. And so we got a different one from each decade, from 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, 2020s. So up to today. And we're just going to talk about them. And we think this might be entertaining. So you can listen to our stories, and you can listen to our podcast, to our playlists, and you can see, why we've chosen the ones. It's a bit Desert Island Discs, of course it is. Please don't hit us with a lawsuit. We're both doing it together, and we're amateurs.
It works for them.
Yes. So, mate, do you want to kick off? So, what is your tune for the 1960s, the decade of the 60s, and why? Why is it important to you, etc., etc.?
Yeah, well, my first song is In My Life by the Beatles. Written by Lennon. And a quick anecdote, my mum and Dad were obviously in the 60s, and my mum went to Liverpool with some friends, and a photographer asked my mum if she'd do some album cover shots for the Beatles. This is true.
Really?
And my dad said no.
What?
Because my dad wasn't into them. He didn't like them, so he's more of a Billy Fury fan. But anyway, so that's one of my mum's claims to fame.
Oh my goodness.
She could have, which is exciting.
Oh, that's brilliant.
But so it's funny. Obviously, grew up with Beatles as a soundtrack. Kind of, I think most of us did in some ways. Yeah. But in my life is certainly a song that's resonates with me probably more now than back then, growing up, because it's quite a sort of reflective view of life about everybody you've met along the way, and it's a song that is very personal to me and my girlfriend Nikki, my fiance. So yeah, and she's from Liverpool, so it's sort of kind of maybe it's gone full circle with my mum's story, and now it's come back to. So yeah, lovely song, and sort of reflective, but also thinking very much about the person you're with at the moment. So yeah, that's my first song.
Oh wow, beautiful. All right. Well,
yes.
Okay. So when I introduced this, I said, "Oh no, our song choices are completely different." All right. My first one is the Beatles, but then I suppose it's the 60s. They're going to feature somewhere, aren't they? And they've influenced so much. Yeah, exactly.
So who's your first song?
So my first song is the Beatles. It's Yesterday. Now, number of different reasons. First one is I have a really early memory of playing this single as a single on my mum's. She had this sort of creamy white, I think in my head it was creamy white sort of plastic record player, and it had a kind of like a red crimson felt deck, and I can remember this, and I think I was probably 3, so I think this is 1969, and I think that because my brother was born when I was 4, and I don't remember him being in this, and so I've just got this memory of me and my mum, not my dad either, just me and my mum, playing Yesterday on this kind of really small little Bakelite, I guess, like white plastic record player, and on this crimson, and I can smell it. Do you know what I mean? Wow. And I can feel that kind of that fluffy, felty.
Yes.
And so it's just there as a memory.
Lovely memory.
But from bloody hell, years and hundreds of years ago. But then Yesterday's followed me around the world and around my life, and from, yes. You know where I'm going,
yes.
From our New Year's trips, holidays and stuff like that, that it always comes out as one of our songs that we all sing around the campfire or whatever, that Darran swore he'd never do, song. And ended up doing. But I've also sung it when I was travelling with an old girlfriend a long time ago. We went to India, and we went on a camel trek through the Thal Desert, and at the end of the day we made camp, put the camels to bed, and our 2 Indian guides started singing these crazy Indian tunes, and then they kind of went, "Okay, your turn," and I'm like, "Oh, I don't know anything. I don't know it." And so I sang Yesterday, and they were like, silence.
The camels
there was no applause. There was no. They just kind of went, and just carried on baking the fire. Just like, so yeah, mixed blessings. But Yesterday.
You're doing something with this choir tonight or tomorrow.
It's tonight. Yeah. So I'm hoping I'm not going to do it Yesterday solo. Over to you for number 2. We're in the 70s now.
We're in the 70s
decade,
now.
70s for the music.
Yeah, it was. So my second choice is Video Killed the Radio Star by Buggles. A couple of reasons. One, I was on a coach to France with school, so I remember it being played constantly on the bus down to France, and it was about video, which was brand new.
Yeah.
More or less.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember, this was the first song that MTV played.
Oh, was it?
Ever, yeah. because of the context
video.
of the message in the song. Trevor Horn, very catchy song, and that was exciting. This MTV thing was coming, wasn't it, where we could watch videos, and it wasn't just about a performance. We kind of had Top of the Pops, but then we had videos to go along with it, so it kind of felt very fresh and interesting and new. But thank God it didn't kill the radio star, because I do love radio and always have. So quite ironically, whilst I like the song, I'm glad it didn't happen.
Does it have any memories for you, though, beyond MTV? Was there anything?
France, travelling abroad, that first trip. So going to France was exciting because, I've never been abroad. Yeah. And you're with school friends, and it's, the French have hot chocolate for breakfast with croissants dipped in it.
Yeah. Is that when you first learned to speak fluent French?
Absolutely. That's when my French journey began, Andy. And,
I can
you know
imagine.
what? Yeah. I did travel and tourism, not hotel and catering, so that's when my travelling began as well.
So mine is Simon and Garfunkel. Yet another great one to sing around the campfire.
Yes, I'm feeling a theme here.
Yeah, I know, and it continues. And it's America. And what I love about it is at the time, the 70s for me were all about America. Okay. The way that we dressed, kind of, the
cultural references.
Cultural references were all about America. It just felt like the place to be. I mean, things like the Wonder Years. Now,
yes.
I've just been talking about the Wonder Years because I was convinced that Marilyn Manson was in the Wonder Years. But I've just Googled it, and I'll just tell you what it says. It says, Josh Saviano, who played Paul Pfeiffer on the nostalgic dramedy The Wonder Years, swears he is not Marilyn Manson. The rumour has run rampant for years, but Marilyn Manson's real name is Brian Warner, and Paul Saviano is now a New York City corporate attorney. So that answers that one for everybody.
So, but you watched The Wonder Years, and you obviously that show resonated with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I wanted to be in The Wonder Years.
Okay.
And, the kind of, how old were we in the 70s? Well, sort of 11, 12, something like that, 13 going. But I suppose I sort of connected with the little boy in, the Pfeiffer mate, who was the main character. I think I kind of wanted to be him. And so all of that. And, I think there's a lot of things on, like Dynasty and, Charlie's Angels and, all that kind of stuff in the 70s.
$6 Million Man.
$6 Million Man. Of course, I had the $6 Million Man Action Man thing, where you could look through the back of his head and and he had and you could take batteries out of his arms and stuff like that. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Steve Austin,
Evil
man barely alive.
Yeah.
I had Evil Knievel as well. Yeah, the wind-up thing.
Yes.
So the 70s, for me, was all about America. Although at the time I had no real desire to go there. I felt like, England in the 70s felt very cold and very dark and very wet. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yes.
There were posters everywhere, Labour isn't working and all that kind of thing, which,
power strikes. And,
it was a difficult time for many people, the 70s. And so for me, America felt like something bright and happy and safe.
And you end up going there to work.
I did, but we'll come to that in a bit. So what about the 80s? I mean, you're Mr. 80s man, so I know you've got 17 tunes to choose from.
I've got 3 from the 80s. I guess that kind of shows the impact it had on me in terms of choice of music. A lot of things were going on, a lot of variety of different things were going on. So I'll start with Club Tropicana, Wham.
Of course.
Yeah, that cicada, that hot summer evening, optimism, holidays, tanned boys on holiday, girls arriving everywhere. It's generally, a huge feeling of optimism, and I had my first holiday to Ibiza in '84. With four guys, and had a perm. I looked like a Puerto Rican.
I can't believe it.
Strictly Come Dancing.
The small kitten heel.
Yeah, well, probably somewhere. And we had a little stereo by the pool playing Madonna's album, Holiday, and all that stuff. Optimistic, fun, carefree. So that was my first. That's my number 3, first song from the 80s.
Yeah.
Over to you.
Well, hang on, didn't you have several from the 80s?
I have, but let's keep.
I've only got one. I've only got one. So you hit me with all of yours.
Okay, so the next one is an amazing band from Sheffield, Heaven 17, which I have seen several times since, and the song's Temptation. And at this point, I was 15, spending the weekends at a delightful place called Altrincham Ice Rink.
Oh, I've been there.
Which is the place you used to go to hang out.
Yes. No, that was always like somebody's birthday treat or something like that. Because you lived near there. It was a bit further for us. But
I lived in Sales.
Yeah.
So we used to go down there, and there'd be the posh boys who'd have the brilliant skates and the big Aran jumpers who could skate really well. And then
looking like a Wham advert.
Yeah, exactly. Looking, like floating across the ice. And then there'd be us lot in the hired boots that cut your legs to shreds. Yeah. Falling over every five minutes. With pints, banging into the boards, and with Temptation blasting away, and it was interesting times. But
so
good times.
What's your last one from the 80s then?
So my last one is The Smiths, This Charming Man, and I remember very clearly watching Morrissey on Top of the Pops with the daffodils and the flowers.
Gladioli.
Yeah, Gladioli.
A bit like Dame Edna.
And thinking, wow, this guy is really different. Cool, sort of a bit like a poet, which perhaps you're going to come on to. And from Manchester, and he had that brilliant riff from who's the bass guitarist from the Smiths? Johnny Marr. Brilliant song. He was from Manchester as well, which was great. So that was kind of 3 different songs really. From the 80s,
that's quite
different.
Actually, the Smiths is quite different to the other two, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Because the other two are very optimistic and kind of party, and the Smiths is like getting back to reality. And he did sort of change music.
I've got a stitch to wear.
Yeah. But I think he did change the direction quite a lot, actually. I think he's quite responsible for doing that.
Yeah, he did.
Not that we're in any way any music aficionados, but we know what we like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and there was so many things going on in the 80s, weren't there? So many different types of music happening. It was exciting times.
Yeah, it was. Which is why, for my 80s song, I've chosen something from 1972.
Okay.
But in the 80s was I feel I came alive in the 80s, but not in a kind of Club Tropicana kind of way. So my tune from the 80s is Lou Reed, actually, Perfect Day. And that was actually, from the Transformer album, 1972. I mean, it's got some incredible other tunes on that album. It's just life-changing listening to that.
Yeah, wonderful voice.
Yeah, amazing, yeah. But, I mean, I don't know. I think I was a late bloomer when it came to music and liking things and understanding genres and stuff like that. I never really had a direction. I just listened to loads of stuff, we talked about, the rock music, and, I went to see Black Sabbath and all that kind of thing in my sort of, my early teens. But I felt listening to people like Lou Reed, like listening to the Smiths, like Lloyd Cole and the Commotions and all that kind of stuff. There was kind of now here's the thing, because I'd started art school as well. And so I think all had that kind of art school vibe. And so all of that kind of music, that angst and that kind of like, Lou Reed, you'd listen to his voice, he's actually not a good singer. But his sound's amazing, and I think that all resonated, and that was my sound of the I suppose the late 80s, early 80s.
Is the way of describing it, Andy.
Sorry.
Angst is a good way of describing
Yeah.
it. 'Cause, you know, I went from Wham to Smiths. I was happy. Then I was like annoyed
Yes.
with everybody.
Yeah.
And that's what you like as a teenager.
Yeah, you're up and down. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So,
And you did, is this in art school? Is that when the quiff arrived?
the quiff. The listeners, if you haven't seen me, I haven't really got a quiff. I just don't know what to do with my hair, really. No. Yes.
Okay.
Foppish.
Foppish.
Bowit hair.
Yes.
So, yeah, 80. We're going through this quite quickly because obviously there's a lot to cover. But, listeners, please email us at the 50-something, at 50-something podcast at gmail.com. Email us with your thoughts. What were your best tunes from the best decades? And what we might do actually is we could put a Spotify playlist together of all your suggestions, and that would be really good.
Yeah, and we can do that on our Facebook page as well. We can please list your top tunes from each decade, and we can put together a highlight list for everybody. That'd be great.
Fantastic. And also send us some photographs. Send some photographs of what you look like in these earlier decades as well. That would be brilliant.
Yes.
So you are listening to the 50-something podcast with me, Andy Barlow, age 56.
And me, Darran Medley, age 55.
I thought you were 57, but you're not, and that's me next week. Oh, mate. Yes. Anyway, so we're going to move into the 90s. Now, again, man, there's so much to go at.
Oh, huge amount here, Andy. Huge. So let's, you do your 90s first, because you've got a couple, haven't you, this time?
90s, I've only got one still.
Oh, right,
so I've got two in 2010s.
Right, okay.
But 90s.
So I'll go 90s, my first one from the 90s. So, again, it's very much about where I was in life. So I was in France, south of France. It was hot, carefree, working on this kids' holiday camp. And I remember we used to finish work and go down to the local bars. And it was a melting pot of, French people, Germans, English. And suddenly there was this sort of, people were dancing in a different way. And it was Hallelujah by Happy Mondays. And I was like, I've never seen people dance like that before.
Yeah.
And they were, fully into their music, perhaps for more than just the alcohol, which I didn't realise at the time. But
yes,
it was a celebration of that music, and it was really, I really remember thinking, wow. And of course, I was away, and what was going on, Manchester was going on at home, and I kind of didn't know about it until I got back later that summer. So that was kind of my sort of awakening to the Manchester thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
which was great.
That's just a great memory. I mean, so I was in Manchester during the Manchester time. I'd got a little design agency. I'd started in 1993 when I was 25, I think, and I ran that for 16 years, I think, something like that. Anyway, but that time of the Happy Mondays, the Stone Roses, Oasis or Blur, that kind of stuff. And we all used to meet in a bar on the corner of Deansgate and Whitworth Street called Atlas. Yes. And Atlas at the time was where if you were an artist, a designer, an architect, a poet, a singer-songwriter, you were in a band, whatever, you were on TV, you would all go to Atlas on a Friday night. And Tony Wilson was there. I remember seeing Badly Drawn Boy do an acoustic set on top of the bar. There's like a kind of like a I don't know what you call it, a canopy that goes over the top of the bar. Or they used to. I don't know what it's like anymore. And it was like a constructed canopy so you could stand on it. Yeah. But Badly Drawn Boy got up there with his guitar and he was playing. It was hilarious because he insisted on everybody being silent. He was like, who are you? Nobody knew who he was. But all sorts of stuff went on down there, and it was
exciting time.
It was amazing times. Amazing times. I loved it.
The 90s were full of optimism, weren't they? And New Labour came in, and the Oasis Blur thing was going on. There was so much going on.
Yeah. But my song isn't actually to do with Manchester.
Right, okay.
I loved that time and I loved that music, but it's the band that I'm going to celebrate now, the Chili Peppers. And for me, the Chili Peppers, although the Manchester thing was going on, they meant more. There was more. I don't know whether it was because they were American. I'm beginning to realise when I'm looking at my playlist, and I've never really considered this before, if I am really influenced by America that I didn't actually acknowledge. But my tune is Californication, from the album Californication in 1999, so end of the 90s. But I have a great memory of that tune. With my little agency I had in Manchester, I went to Paris and I went and presented a concept to a big brand over in Paris. And I came out, and I was on my own. I came out and I was absolutely exhausted, and there was a bar directly across the road from from where I'd done the presentation. I walked straight into the bar and ordered un verre de vin rouge, and the guy kind of looked at me, because in France, obviously, you don't just order a glass of wine; you order which particular one. Anyway, he just gave me some cheap wine. I necked this glass of wine and thought, right, what am I going to do now? I've got time to kill before I fly home or whatever. And so, right, I'm going to go to the Louvre. And I was feeling kind of weird. I'd done this pitch, wasn't sure how it had gone. And I thought, all right, I'm going to go to the Louvre. And I thought, oh, yeah, okay, I'm going to go and look at the Mona Lisa. You go into the Louvre, and there are millions of people trying to see the Mona Lisa. And I put my headphones in and started playing Californication really loud in my ears. So I'd come out of this pitch feeling sort of, you know how it is when you've done a pitch, you kind of feel a bit elated, you feel a bit well, I'm not sure how that went, or you feel this was brilliant, but you feel sort of shattered mentally. I had a glass of wine and went to the Louvre, and I was listening to Californication really loud whilst challenging these thousands of people in the Louvre to see the Mona Lisa. And it's just a memory that I'll always sort of cherish. It was a funny time. I was on my own doing something, happy, I guess. But also, I felt security in that song as well. Also, during that time, I worked at PJ Bell's, as it was at the time, which is now Mount Fred's.
Music venue. Yes, I was there a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, you were. Yeah, which is it was the West Side Jazz Bar, wasn't it? Which is now the Northern Quarter. I remember that. It was fantastic. Really great bands on, and Phil Bell running the place. It's now run by Claire, who does Comsar Art Gallery. Claire, if you're listening, I'd really want you on this podcast. But anyway, so that's the 90s dealt with.
Yes, I've got another one. I've got two from the 90s.
Go for it, mate. Go on.
So, you reminded me that we went to see this band in the Brixton Academy, and I found the ticket stub the other day to the gig.
Hammersmith Apollo. Yes. Oasis.
So I saw Oasis at Main Road, which was a great gig, because that was because they were City fans. It was like kind of their homecoming gig, and that first album was, amazing. Sort of soundtrack to the 90s, as we've talked about, along with Blur, and I do really like Blur as well, by the way.
Yeah.
And I think Damon Albarn's
I think he's gone on to do absolute genius stuff.
Gorillaz, amazing.
Yeah.
Loads of different things. Stuff. So I like both bands. But Live Forever was my Oasis song, and it was a couple of lines in there which just really resonated with me. Maybe I really don't want to know how your garden grows, because I just want to fly. And that was kind of Noel saying, listen, I don't want to just stay in Manchester. I want to see the world. I want to fly and be,
Although if you listen to interviews with him, he's always saying, "Oh, it's just about the music, and my lyrics mean nothing." But there's obviously loads of thought gone into them.
Yeah, of course, he's a great songwriter. And I think, like Live Forever, you do. In our 90s, we felt immortal, didn't we?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
no, absolutely. What's your next one?
Yeah.
But that's a great tune.
So,
and also, they were a great band.
Amazing band. Yeah. So, into the 2000s, Andy. My choice for the 2000s is a band called the Arctic Monkeys.
Yeah.
Sheffield, 4-piece, Mardy Bum, which a few people have accused me of being over the years, so
Why?
it kind of resonates with me.
Why? I don't get that.
Sulking. Maybe my sister would probably say that. She said I sulked a lot when I was younger.
You still do, mate.
Yeah, there you go. So I think, the lyrics are great, aren't they, Arctic Monkeys? They're really, they capture your sort of life growing up so vividly in their words.
Well, Mard is such a northern word, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I love it.
So that would be my 2000 songs. A great band, Arctic Monkeys. I've never seen them. I'd love to see them.
Yeah, no, I haven't either. No. So why that in particular though? Why does that resonate, or is it just that you're a Mardy bum?
Yeah, well, a bit, because you're right. It's a very northern term, Mardy, and the song. If you go through the song, it's about how he's trying to coax his girlfriend round because she's got a marred face and
I've no idea what that means. I've no idea.
Yeah, and we both
know.
We both know how that feels.
I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway,
generally because we've done something we shouldn't have done.
Yeah. Who knows what that is though until it's happened.
Exactly. Yeah. So what's your song for the 2000s?
I've got two for the 2000s, and
okay,
they're both relevant, and they both sort of connect. But the first one is Death Cab for Cutie, and the tune is Soul Meets Body from Plans, and I think the album was 2005. But I mean, I think lyrically they're just brilliant. You know, I want to live where soul meets body and let the sun wrap its arms around me. I just feel that, to say, I get that, you know. And I was living in Manchester. I was living in Chorlton, on Limley Grove in Chorlton, and we had the best neighbours. We had like this street where we knew everybody, and everybody was a friend. And we did these things, we called it tapper hopping. And we'd have a night where we'd start at somebody's house and then we'd go around sort of like 6 or 7 different houses having a drink and some tapas. And it sounds very middle class, but it really wasn't. It was super cool. And very, very happy time there. It was wonderful.
Was that a close Andy you lived on, or was it a cul-de-sac? Or?
It was a cul-de-sac, actually. It was the end by the park. Not Alexandra Park, Chorlton Park. But why that song in particular? I think it was just, I think I was listening to it a lot. And I don't know if you've had your Spotify, I can't remember what they call it, but the AI is telling you right now, you'll have had something to say what your top tunes are for this year and what you're listening to and all that. It was absolutely fascinating, but obviously we couldn't do it back then. There was no Spotify. I was doing everything on CDs, I'm pretty sure. And then Apple Music came in, and I started putting stuff on the computer and stuff. But Death Cab was just, it was sort of my sound of that time. I think I listened to it more than anything else, so it was really important. But my second one from the noughties is actually, so the noughties were brilliant. I loved them right up until we went into a recession. And I got a little company. I mean, you know, you've been through the same mill, and in 2008, my business went bust. I had a design agency, as we were saying, and we used to work with lots of international clients, bringing them into the UK and developing store designs and all that sort of stuff for them. Anyway, and 2008, everything just collapsed, and I ended up losing my business. I had to make staff redundant. It was not a nice time. It was a very difficult time.
Difficult.
One tune that kind of resonates for me at that time was Band of Horses. I mean, those haunting melodies and just beautiful. But it's called The Funeral.
Yes.
And the funeral sort of sums up how I was feeling really at that time. It was kind of like the end of something, the end of a real big era, which, had its, it was transformative, really, that time for me. In 2008, I lost the business, and in 2009, I moved to London. And it was a big culture change, everything. And I've lived in London ever since, and I love living in London. But I didn't know it at the time, and I fought it because I really didn't want to leave Manchester, because everything I knew, or the music I liked, I loved the Manchester Art Gallery. It's got some incredible Pre-Raphaelites and stuff in it, and all my friends, my urban family, who I spent most of my formative years with, I left behind. And that was a difficult time for me.
Time of change.
But it was a time of change.
Because of the economy.
Yeah. And so I became an economic migrant, bloody hell. An economic migrant, and moved to London like so many other millions of people. But, regrets, I've got a few, but actually I'm glad I made the move. I'm very, very happy here. I've met my
did
now
that song
wife.
help get you through it?
I think it did. Well, I think that kind of genre of music, that kind of American folk, Canadian folk rock, the stuff that I'm sure Luke Una would describe as cul-de-sac music.
Yes, hello, Luke.
but really, I felt it. I'm the kind of person that feels things. I feel music. I feel art. I feel movies. I don't just kind of watch them, or they make a real lasting impression on me. And this was definitely one of those things. So that was the kind of 2000s again, in a very rushed fashion. But now we're going to move into the 2010s.
Yes.
So Darran, where are you on that?
Well, the 10s were similar for you, Andy. The sort of transitional period for me. I started off working at because of the recession. I also went to London, went to work for New Look.
I've forgotten about that.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Then I went to the Middle East. Then I went to Australia, and then coming back to the UK in 2015. So a lot of moving around, a lot of economic challenges because what was going on with the economy globally, and moving around the world to have a good job. So a lot of challenges, and the back end of that. So the start of that decade, I don't really remember much music. I was moving around too much. But the back end of that decade, I was back home in the UK, and I met my girlfriend Nikki then, and we went to a couple of gigs in Manchester at the Hacienda Classical, which was a sort of tribute, in one way, a tribute to that period. But
so I've never been to one of those, but I know it's massively successful.
Yeah, really successful.
What is it? Is it an orchestra? Is it
orchestra?
How does it work?
Yeah, orchestra mixed with DJs, and then some live singers. So it's a mixture of all three. The reinterpretation of the songs with an orchestra is amazing. The venue helps. It's a place called Castlefield Bowl, about 4,000 people, and the first 3 or 4 times we went, it was cracking the flags. It was beautifully warm.
Cracking the flags. Anybody again who's not from the north?
Yes. It was super warm, great atmosphere. And the other nice thing was that you can go to some gigs and you feel like you're there to pick your kids up, and you shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
But at this place, you felt like you were with people who were there back in the day. And and it was Donna Summer, I Feel Love was sort of re-released around that time, which is a great song, positive energy. In fact, when it was first released in the 70s, it was the gay community sort of took it as their symbol of hope. And I still think it's that today. It's a great song. It's about love. It's about positivity, about happiness. And it was great to be amongst that sort of older community crowd that were sort of reminisced in some ways about being back in Manchester in the late 80s and that, but also were sort of new orchestra, new band, new venue. So yeah, that would be my song from the 2010s, Donna Summer. Great song.
Brilliant. Oh, that's nice. That's a good one.
And you should come up for the gig.
I know. I should. Yeah. I mean, they do it. I think they do it in London, actually.
Yeah, they do, but I think Manchester's the best place.
But you've got to be in Manchester. Yeah. No, I will. Maybe that's my challenge to myself for next year.
Yes. Okay. Where do you go next?
2010. Tens. So this is, relatively recent, really, in our lifetime. But so I'm living in London, and I've been working with some great London creative agencies, and doing some fantastic work, and with really enjoying living in London. I started painting again.
Yes.
And so that has been, it's probably around 2010 actually that I started painting again, on a in a small way.
Yeah.
I think my parents had bought me some oil paints for Christmas or something, and I kind of went, all right, I'll give that a go.
Yeah. So I loved your landscapes, by the way, Andy.
The landscapes.
I know you stopped doing them, but I really like them.
Yeah, I think I've heard that before. I might have a look at those anyway. So I went for an interview at Fitch, and Fitch then became Landor and Fitch, and now it's Landor, so Fitch is no more, unfortunately. I mean, it's a massive leviathan of a business that has just sadly disappeared. But I went for an interview at Fitch, and during the interview I was asked, so why Columbus, Ohio? And I'm like, where's Columbus, Ohio? And they said, well, you don't know where this job's based. I said, oh no, I thought it was London. And it's like, nope, it's creative director North America based in Columbus, Ohio.
So you didn't know when you applied it was in America?
When I applied for the job, I didn't know.
Okay.
No. So I kind of came home and spoke to my wife. Was she my wife at the time? No, she was my girlfriend at the time, my partner. And I said, got this opportunity, what do you think? And she said, yeah, let's do it. So we moved to Columbus, which is in the Midwest. They call it the Midwest, but it's kind of like the kind of eastern side of central North America. Okay. And it's underneath the Great Lakes. So you got Michigan and what's the other one? Well, there are three, but anyway. Ontario, no, I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But Cleveland at the top, and then if you were to go west, you've got like Chicago, and Columbus is further down on the right hand side. Not an awful lot goes on in Columbus, but really lovely people. And, I had a fantastic time there, and working at Fitch was brilliant. And I was very lucky. So Michelle, who we had on the show,
hello, Michelle,
in our episode 2, that's where I met Michelle. She was strategy director at Fitch. Anyway, so I had a great time. I was, working in New York, working in LA, Chicago, down in Texas, and, just basically traveling around all the time, doing pitches, presentations, workshops, and just absolutely loved it. My wife, unfortunately, was stuck at home. She couldn't work because...
the visa restrictions,
visa laws, and all that kind of stuff, and she was just bored to death. And so I actually got headhunted, and back to the UK. And I remember the day coming home and saying, "Look, got this opportunity back in the UK. What do you think?" She just burst into tears, and it was like, "Oh right, okay, that's a yes then."
We're going then.
Yeah.
Yes.
So sad to say goodbye to America, especially, following this very cathartic, I feel like I'm in therapy.
Yes,
This journey that we've been on with my musical history, and everything sort of pointing to America. And while we were there, we did the most amazing road trips. Really amazing. America, if you don't know it, is physically the most beautiful country in the world.
Yeah. We should revisit this in a future episode in terms of travel.
I'm sorry, I'm going on. But that takes me to my tune.
Yes.
And my tune is Villagers doing the cover of, I think it's Willie Nelson, and it's Wichita Lineman.
Oh, great song.
And it's just a beautiful song. But the way that Villagers do it, is just so poetic. And the guy's just got this amazingly, so lyrical voice. It's just awesome. And it's got the line, "I want you more than need you, and I need you for all time."
Nice.
Ooh.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Very nice.
Anyway,
Very nice.
I'm sorry about that little ramble in America there. I just kind of got carried away a little bit. So carry on as you were, Darren. So 2020s. This is where we are now. What are you listening to now, I guess?
So lots of new stuff. And there is an artist that actually is from Muswell Hill. Went to my daughter's school, which is Fortismere, which I'm sure you see.
I know it
all those
very well.
Students in Planet Organic and bottling up the outside of it, etc. Michael Kualuka.
Yes.
He's a brilliant artist.
Brilliant.
And the song's Light, which is a floaty, romantic, beautifully constructed.
Yeah.
The arrangements are gorgeous. So orchestral in some ways. It's got an amazing voice. He was nominated for the what's the award? Not the Brits. The other much more prestigious award. Mercury Prize. I think he won the Mercury Prize for his album. But Light, I don't know if you listened to any of his stuff, Andy. He's a great artist.
Did he do the soundtrack to Pretty Little Lies, or what?
I think he might have done. Yeah, I think he might have done.
Oh, yeah. And he did a gig in Alexandra Palace.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We didn't go. We had. I think we had tickets, but we couldn't make it or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, we had tickets to see him at the Blackpool Ballroom, but it was COVID, and we couldn't go afterwards when it was rearranged. But that's one I would highly recommend to our listeners. Great singer.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's a good one. Okay, so again, at the beginning, I said our tune choices are quite random and different. Actually, they kind of are, but they all kind of come back. So it's interesting. I think, living our 50-something lives and looking at our music tastes and our histories and everything through the lens of a 50-something, maybe they're not that different, actually. We've all been there. I remember the Club Tropicana. I think I was on holiday with our mutual friend Jez, and I was selling shoes on the beach in the south of France when that was on. Anyway, different story. But I think it's interesting. Music. And why we've chosen it, I suppose, as well as a vehicle for us to talk about our decades, is that it is so emotive and it brings people together and it connects with art, it connects with politics, it connects with lifestyle and time. And, you can't, it's not something that sits in isolation. It's like smells, you smell something, it reminds you of a time.
Exactly.
You listen to a sound, a song, and it reminds you of a time.
Yes.
So I hope everybody... You found this entertaining. We've just been chattering on. And the only purpose really is for us to kind of share our little stories. So please do share yours. We'd love to share them on your behalf on all of our social media. And like we said, we'll build a Spotify playlist.
Yes.
Other playlists are available. We're not being sponsored by Spotify.
No,
frankly, we
not.
don't know how to do any others. That's the only thing.
Now, music's a great thread for everybody, and we're not judgmental about anybody's music, are we? It's very personal about what your choices are, and what you remember. But I think we're fortunate to have lived through some great decades. There's some really good choices there.
Yeah. I think as well, building on Tim Cooper from our last pod, CEO of Oliver Sweeney, he gave us his playlist as well, and we'll reshare that because, it's very clear the links between fashion and music, because
Absolutely.
They slip together, hand in glove. It's hard to have fashion without music, and it's hard to have music without fashion.
Yes, absolutely.
Because they all tell stories of the time.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of wraps up where we where we are for this episode 6. Can you believe it?
No, and it's episode 6 flown by, hasn't it? And I think, well done, mate, for 6 episodes. It's been a journey. It's been exciting, and we've learned a lot. We've never done it before. Yeah. Who'd have thought we'd be 6 episodes on our first podcast? So it's been great, and I've really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to, what spring brings, and hopefully we've got some exciting news we can tell everybody in January about who we're going to be talking
guests.
to. Yeah.
Well, look, happy Christmas, Crouch.
Merry Christmas, Crouch, to you.
And we'll explain Crouch sometime, maybe, or maybe we won't. But happy Christmas, happy New Year to all of our listeners as well, and happy Hanukkah,
Year,
happy whatever other festival you follow. This.
Thank you for your support.
Yes, thank you so much, and have a good one.
Have a good one,
Pull a cracker.
Yes. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. See you later.
The 50-something podcast.
Because things happen in your 50s. We'd love to hear different perspectives on the subjects that we discuss. So if you're 50-something, have a point of view, we would love to hear from you. Email us at 50somethingpodcast@gmail.com.